The Lion King wasn't just a film, it was an experience. As a young boy sitting in the cinema, I was completely mesmerized. The stunning animation, unforgettable music, and powerful story of courage and heartbreak have stayed with me ever since. With Mufasa now on the big screen, I couldn't resist revisiting this world through my art. In this video, I'll take you through the process of creating my Mufasa-inspired sketches, showing how the themes from The Lion King, like courage and the symbolism of lions, connect to my art. I'll also share personal stories that influenced how I drew Mufasa and how the film's impact continues to shape my creativity. The first 3 sketches I'm sharing with you in this video were done around the time of the previous Lion King film. I was particularly inspired by some of the stunning concept art created for the film by talented artists like Justin Sweet. This first portrait is actually my favourite. It's the most striking and I really liked how it turned out. The second drawing is of a pride of lions taking a rest in their natural habitat, while the third sketch was also inspired by Mufasa, Simba, and the overall Lion King story. Now, I didn't draw all of these lions in a row, but it was around this time, around July and August, when I really resonated with the lion as an animal. Being a Leo myself, I've always felt a stronger connection to lions during this period, which made me reflect even more on what the lion represents. And what does the symbol of the lion stand for? It represents courage, strength, loyalty, fierceness, honor, pride, truth and justice, royalty, protection, nobility, kingly power, inner wisdom, leadership, and self-actualization. These themes have always resonated with me, and so did the original Lion King animated film. As a boy, I would often watch a number of Disney films on repeat, but The Lion King was probably the one I watched the most. One of the scenes that really stuck with me was when the spirit of King Mufasa appears to his son Simba in the clouds, in the night sky, and speaks the iconic words, "Remember who you are." That moment, even as a child, left a lasting impact on me. It was a powerful reminder of identity, responsibility, and the wisdom that Mufasa, as a father and a king, imparted to Simba. It's a scene about coming to terms with who you are and stepping into your true potential, no matter the challenges you face. And that's something I've carried with me throughout my life, both personally and as an artist. It's a message that speaks to leadership, strength, and remembering your purpose, which as I continue to draw Mufasa, I keep coming back to. For these sketches, I mostly stuck to using 1 or 2 pencils with the occasional addition of a third for extra depth. At times, I used a blending stump to soften some of the line work and shading. All of these sketches were done in my A5 sketchbook, small enough to fit into the back pocket of my jeans. My go-to tools were Black Queen pencils, as usual, which I love for their smooth texture, and occasionally a mechanical pencil for those finer details. Now, as we move into the newer sketches inspired by Mufasa himself, I'm focusing on capturing the essence of his character, his strength, wisdom, and that undeniable regal presence. With each pencil stroke, I aim to balance his power with a softness, particularly in his eyes and expressions. Mufasa isn't just a king, he's a father figure with a profound love for his son, and I wanted that duality to shine through, especially in the portrait sketches. The challenge with Mufasa is portraying not only his physical strength, but also the wisdom and compassion that defines him. Of course, the new film shows a younger Mufasa growing into his role as king, but even without seeing it, I imagine his core traits remain similar to how we've always known him in The Lion King, the original animated film. That blend of strength, wisdom and love is what I've tried to reflect in these drawings. Again, for these sketches, I use a very loose, light hand at first. I like to block out the basic shapes and forms, almost like building a foundation before adding any details. I usually start in the overhand grip, which allows me to move more freely across my sketchbook page, even my small A5 one. I've talked about some of the different pencil grips for drawing in a previous video, which you can watch if you'd like to learn more. As these sketches are mostly focused on the portrait, I'll usually start with the outside contour shape of the head, measuring back and forth constantly between my own drawing and the reference I'm using, and I am using photo reference in this example. I then move on to the mane and the placement of the eyes, nose and mouth, thinking about the direction of the flow. I try to let the lines guide me, keeping them fluid and natural as I progress. The important thing is to sketch loosely at first and gradually build on top of layers or increase some of the line weight after you've laid down your foundations for the drawing and are happy with it. One of the main things I keep in mind when sketching Mufasa is his expression. I want him to look wise and commanding, but also gentle, especially with the way his eyes are positioned. The eyes really make the character come to life for me, so I spend extra time getting those right, even though that it is a little bit difficult with the scale that I'm working at for these particular sketches. I use a range of pencils for different parts of the drawing. For the outlines and rough sketches, I'll start with a softer pencil, usually a 3B, which allows me to create both lighter and darker lines that I can easily adjust depending on how much pressure I apply as I draw. As I refine and develop each sketch, I might switch to a harder pencil like a HB or still a slightly soft B to bring in finer details, especially for the fur texture and shading. I'll make sure my pencil is sharpened to a fine point or use a mechanical pencil at this time in the drawing process. As I'm drawing, I try not to overthink things, but instead let the sketch evolve naturally as I keep referring back to my reference. Sometimes I will put the reference away after I've been practicing drawing for over an hour and see what I can draw from memory in the form of gesture sketches. As I progress, I find that there's a rhythm to it. As I build up the layers gradually, I often step back from the sketch to assess the proportions and the balance of the lion's face. The goal is to create something that feels both powerful and full of character, like Mufasa, but also something that's unique to my style and not just a direct copy from reference material. As you can see in the time-lapse, when I started working on the opposite second page of my sketchbook, I began sketching the foundations for a front view of Mufasa from close up. But I decided to scrap that idea and stick to asymmetrical drawings of him to focus a bit more on the flow and shapes of his mane and face from different angles. I'd started to sketch lightly, which allowed me to erase the sketch I no longer wanted entirely, so I could try again with a new idea. People have often asked me in the past, what is your favourite animal? And I think almost always I've answered back, lions. I wonder if the Lion King film that I grew up watching had influenced my decision, or if it was because I've always felt a connection to the animal, perhaps with me also being a Leo sign in astrology. I've always liked big cats, and after lions, my favourite or second favourite are snow leopards, but also wolves and eagles, amongst other animals, and I think I've had dreams about all of them, some many times. For me though, the lion being symbolic of the king and kingly energy, I always felt drawn to that for some reason. I think there's also something very satisfying about drawing animals, especially lions. It's not just about capturing their physical features, but also their essence, the strength, grace, and presence that make them so iconic. Lions in particular are such majestic creatures. After all, I think probably the most majestic. One of the things I love about sketching animals from photo reference is how it forces me to slow down and really look at the details. I'm always noticing new things I never knew were there when I do this. For lions, it's all about the flow of their manes, the structure of their powerful bodies, and the subtle expressions in their eyes. Each line and shadow is an opportunity to tell a story, whether it's about their raw strength, their calm wisdom, or their quiet moments of reflection. But I also love sketching lions and other animals through gesture sketches. I've only ever seen a real living lion in a zoo before, I think the London Zoo when I was a child, but I would enjoy doing gesture sketches of our pet cats growing up. And you had to be very fast to capture their pose, expression, gesture and action. I think you can take practicing drawing gestures of domestic cats and apply that to drawing lions and other big cats from imagination. For these sketches, I found myself completely immersed in the process. I used photo references to guide me, which I think is so important when drawing animals. It helps you stay true to their anatomy while still leaving room for interpretation and creativity. For example, when drawing Mufasa, I tried to focus not just on the accuracy of his features, but on the emotions and symbolism he carries, strength, wisdom, and a protective nature. Drawing animals is also just a lot of fun. There's a certain freedom in sketching their flowing lines and soft forms, but also a challenge in capturing their power and grace. I think that's part of why I enjoy it so much. It's a balance of technical skill and creative storytelling. And regarding storytelling with Mufasa, from what I've seen and what I remember, he's more than just a king or a king archetype. He's a symbol of wisdom, protection, and leadership. His character teaches us that true leadership isn't just about asserting power, but also nurturing, guiding, and empowering others. I think about that a lot in my own life and with my own work. As artists, we're often seen as lone creators, but the truth is, I think there's a deeper responsibility we have, not just to create, but to inspire and uplift others in this creative journey as we inspire, motivate, and uplift ourselves. One of the things I find most inspiring about the character Mufasa in The Lion King is his ability to lead with both strength and compassion. That balance is something I strive for in my own creative process, whether it's sharing my work, reflecting on my experiences, or connecting with other artists. I've always felt that art is about more than just the final product. It's about the stories, journeys, connections, and lessons we share along the way. Mufasa's story reminds me that leadership in any form is about making a positive impact on others. It's not just about showcasing your abilities, but about creating space for others to thrive. That's a lesson I carry with me, whether I'm working on my art or simply sharing my journey here with all of you. I'm just going to try recording again because my tripod was on my table and massively obstructing the view and the point of the camera in the first place. So I am now going to continue with my final Mufasa pencil drawing sketch, gesture sketch. If I can find him, the reference material. Let's see. There he is. Okay, cool. Make sure my sketchbook is in the view of the camera, which I think it just about is. And continue with some final marks before this last bit of daylight vanishes, because it is starting to get dark already, which is just madness. So I'm now just finishing off a few little details here and there. It's a real shame because I had started recording this lion as a gesture sketch and the battery ran out on my camera. I didn't realise. So the first 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, didn't actually record, which is a shame. But anyway, it is what it is. It's recording now. And I'm just going to bring in some extra values into his mane. Now, from what I understand, in the Mufasa film that has just been released, Mufasa himself seems to be like a teenage, a younger lion, young male lion, but not a fully grown adult. But I'm not entirely sure on that, so if you've seen it, please do let me know what's going on there. But that was my impression from watching the official trailer. So literally just a few final details here. Keeping the plant and the tree very abstract. The paws of his foot, and I'm probably just going to do a few more lines and call it done. Let me see. Just getting a tiny bit of shade, this guy, isn't he? Not much though, because there's not as many leaves on this tree. I'm sure any bit of shelter will do in this kind of environment of extreme heat. I know what it's like being out in the desert. I've explored the outback in Australia, camped out there, and I've also explored the giant, enormous desert San Pedro de Atacama. I believe it is believed in Chile, in South America. And I explored that alone by bicycle over 4 days, and it was quite an incredible experience. Just going off by myself, and it was very hot. I had to use a top over my head and to cover my mouth from all the dust to protect myself from the sun. I had plenty of water, but very hot, very thrilling experience. And I'd see the tour buses going by, I'd probably think, what on earth is this guy doing alone on a bike? But I met a few others on the road. Right. And I also met some flamingos, funnily enough, in the wild. So I think I'm going to call this one done. Just a few more lines. And that's it. Just check my camera. Recording's fine. Probably darken some of the values here and there, but it's meant to be a quick sketch, this one. So that's it, I think. Thank you very much for watching my video, and I'm very curious to see what the film is like, if I get a chance to watch it. If I don't, I'd love to hear what you think of it, and if it's actually worth watching. It does look quite good, I have to say, but I said I'm done and I'm still drawing. So yeah, that's it. Thank you very much, everybody. If you like the video, please do like, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell and all of that kind of stuff, and Let me know what you thought of the film, of my own sketches and drawings in the comments. I'd love to hear your feedback, and I will see you all in the next video. Cheers.